90 ships, 90 warships, sailing not under the banner of any king, not in service of any throne, but in service of money. A deal struck in desperation by a queen's enemies, with pirates. And on the other side of that fog, the most legendary fleet Westeros had ever seen, House Velaryon, the Sea Snake's armada, sitting in the dark, completely blind. This is the Battle of the Gullet, one of the bloodiest engagements in the history of the known world. And in a few days, on June 21st, 2026, you are going to watch it happen. Ryan Condal, the showrunner, called the Season 3 premiere arguably the craziest episode of television ever made. He compared it to Helm's Deep. Let me show you exactly what's coming, and what can you expect. Chapter 1. The Strategic Strangulation. To understand the Battle of the Gullet, you have to understand what the Gullet actually is, and what controlling it means. The Gullet is a bottleneck, a throat, the single stretch of water through which every ship entering or leaving Blackwater Bay must pass, which means every ship supplying King's Landing must pass through it. Grain from the Reach, timber from the Riverlands, trade goods from across Essos. Everything flows through here. And from the very start of the Dance of Dragons, House Velaryon has owned it. Lord Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, spent decades building the greatest private fleet in Westerosi history. He sailed the world. He charted routes no Westerosi sailor had ever dared. And when war came, he did what every great admiral does. He identified the single point of leverage that would strangle his enemy, and he planted his ships there and didn't move. The blockade worked. It worked brilliantly. King's Landing is starving. Not metaphorically, literally starving. Bread prices have tripled. The small folk who already had nothing are beginning to have less than nothing. And the Green Council, Aegon II's advisors, the men and women holding Team Green together, are watching the city simmer toward a full boil. They know what happens when a city that size runs out of food. They've read their history. They've seen what hungry people do. And they know they cannot break the blockade by sea. Not with the dragons they have, not with the fleet they have. So they look east, across the narrow sea, to an alliance that should have been unthinkable. The Triarchy, the Three Daughters, an alliance of the free cities of Lys, Myr, and Tyrosh, a confederation of merchants and pirates and soldiers who have, for decades, controlled the Stepstones. The same Stepstones that Daemon Targaryen and Corlys Velaryon spent years fighting them for. The irony here is almost poetic. Team Green is going to arm the exact people that Team Black bled to defeat, and point them at the man who helped defeat them. It's Tyland Lannister who closes the deal, and whatever he offered them, gold, trade rights, promises, the High Council of the Triarchy accepts. They send their Admiral west, 90 warships under the command of Sharako Lohar. This is the bet the Greens are making. Not on dragons, not on armies, on pirates. And it's about to cost everyone, on both sides, everything. Chapter 2. The Ambush in the Fog. The 5th day of the new year, 130 AC. Sharako Lohar is not stupid. She doesn't sail her 90 ships straight into the mouth of the Gullet in broad daylight. She doesn't fly banners or announce herself. She comes from the east, sailing north of Pentos first, to loop her approach, and she times it perfectly. Sunrise behind her. The rising sun at her fleet's back, burning directly into the eyes of anyone in the Velaryon fleet who might be watching. And she doesn't come straight either. She splits. 2 squadrons. One sweeps north of Dragonstone. One pushes south. A pincer, designed to hit the Velaryon fleet at 2 points simultaneously, making any organized response nearly impossible. The Velaryon fleet doesn't see them coming. Not until it's too late to form a proper line. Not until the horns are already blowing. And what comes out of that fog isn't clean, isn't cinematic. It is brutal. Triarchy sailors climbing over rails with iron grappling hooks, using their body weight to haul enemy ships close. Axes through timber, Men with their hands on fire, trying to put themselves out while someone with a spear is trying to put them down. The Velaryon fleet is legendary, but it has never faced anything like this. Not in these numbers, not at dawn with the sun in their eyes. And commanding all of it, from the flagship, cutting through the line, is Sharako Lohar. She is not a diplomat. She is not a courtier. She is an admiral from Lys who has spent her career fighting in the Stepstones, learning how dragons breathe and how sailors die. She knows that if her fleet can lock the Velaryon ships into close combat, close enough that you can't burn them without burning your own ships, then she takes away the one advantage Team Black has. The dragons. For a brief, terrifying window, it's working. Chapter 3. Reaping the Whirlwind. They hear Vermax before they see him. Jacaerys Velaryon is 20 years old. He is the heir to the Iron Throne. He is the son of Rhaenyra Targaryen. He is everything this war is being fought to protect. He has absolutely no business flying into this battle. And he goes anyway. He's not alone. Because Jace, more than any other person in this war, understood that dragons don't win wars by themselves. Riders do. And weeks ago, he opened Dragonstone's volcanic mountain and sent commoners in to claim the wild dragons sleeping there. Hugh Hammer, Ulf the White, Adam of Hull, low-born men, bastards and hedge knights and smiths' sons with enough Valyrian blood in their veins to survive the claiming. Not warriors, not princes, not trained to anything except surviving. And now they are riding weapons of mass destruction into history's worst naval battle. Think about what that means for a moment. Hugh Hammer is a blacksmith. A week ago, his entire world was hammer and iron and soot. Today he is sitting on Vermithor, a dragon over a century old, larger than almost anything alive, called the Bronze Fury, and pointing him at a wooden fleet packed into a narrow channel. When Vermithor opens his mouth, it is not a metaphor. It is medieval napalm, a torrent of dragon fire across dry timber, across canvas sails, across men who have nowhere to run because the sea is on all sides. The Triarchy captains who fought against Caraxes in the Stepstones ordered their crews to use scorpions and crossbows to drive the dragons off. That worked, once, against one dragon. There are 5 of them now. Vermax, Vermithor, Silverwing, Seasmoke, Sheepstealer. 5 dragons working in rotating passes, driving the northern squadron back into itself, burning ship after ship until what's left is debris and drowning men. For the first time in this battle, the Blacks are winning, but the South Pincer is already somewhere else. Chapter 4. The Fall of the Prince. There's a moment in every battle where the momentum shifts, and nobody watching it happen can pinpoint exactly when. This is Jace's moment. The Triarchy sailors have one thing the Valyrian Dragoneers don't. They've fought dragons before. In the Stepstones. Against Caraxes. They learned at enormous cost that a dragon flying high is almost impossible to hit. But a dragon flying low, diving on a burning ship, is exposed. They wait. Vermax flies too low. Whether he was struck in the eye by a crossbow bolt and lost his bearing, or whether he was pulled down by a grapnel hook, we don't know for certain. The sources disagree, the Meisters argue, and that ambiguity is itself the point. War doesn't care about clean answers. What we know is this: Vermax crashed into the burning wreckage of a Triarchy galley. A dragon, a creature that has crossed continents, ridden storms, breathed fire across 1,000 miles of open sea, died in a burning ship. And Jacaerys survived the crash. He made it out of the wreckage, found a floating timber, held on, and then the Myrish archers found him. He didn't die fighting another dragon. He didn't fall in a duel with Aemond One-Eye, didn't burn at Rook's Rest, didn't meet the kind of death that songs are written about. He was killed in the water, by faceless soldiers who may not have even known his name. The legitimate heir to the Iron Throne. The boy who spent 2 years flying from keep to keep recruiting allies, who opened Dragonstone's caves and gave commoners dragons to ride, who arranged safe passage for his own brothers, who fought this entire war as a duty he never asked for, executed by crossbow bolts while clinging to a piece of burning wood. His body was never recovered. Rhaenyra would not even have a son to bury. The war doesn't pause. It doesn't grieve. It keeps going. Chapter 5. The Ashes of Driftmark. While everyone's eyes were on the dragons, while Jacaerys died in the water and Vermax burned, the Triarchy's southern squadron had already slipped past. They weren't fighting the Velaryon fleet anymore. They were done with the battle. They went to Driftmark. Spicetown was the commercial heart of House Velaryon's wealth. Not their seat, not their castle, but their money. Generations of trade built over decades. The sea snake built it from nothing. The Triarchy burns it to ash in a single night, and then they turn to high tide. The Velaryon stronghold. They cannot take it, not in one night, not with a sea battle still unresolved behind them. But they can make sure Corlys Velaryon feels this loss in his bones. And they do. By the time the Triarchy fleet limps away at dusk, battered, burned, broken, only 28 of their original 90 ships remain. The Velaryon fleet has lost a third of its own. Jacaerys is dead. Vermax is dead. Spicetown will never be rebuilt. Corlys Velaryon won. The blockade still holds. The Triarchy is crippled. Their fleet will not return. And in the years after this battle, the defeat ignites internal conflict that contributes to the collapse of the Triarchy itself. By any military accounting, the Blacks won. When someone offers him congratulations, Corlys Velaryon says, "If this be victory, I pray I never win another." The cruelty of a war that takes everything from the people fighting on the right side. Corlys has lost Spicetown. He has lost high tide. He has lost a third of the fleet he spent his life building. He has watched a young prince, his grandchildren's half-brother, die in the water in front of him. And the blockade still holds. The victory is real. The victory means nothing. Chapter 6. What to expect in Season 3. Let's talk about what this battle actually does to the war. Rhaenyra Targaryen has now lost her father, Lucerys, her son, Laenor, her first husband, Harwin Strong, her children's father, Rhaenys, and her dragon. And now Jacaerys, her firstborn, the child this entire war is supposed to be for. Jace was her anchor. He's gone. What comes back from that grief is not the same queen. The woman who follows will be harder, more ruthless, more willing to burn what needs burning. She has been changed by the Gullet. And what about Team Green? What did the Triarchy Gambit actually accomplish? The blockade held. King's Landing is still starving. Tyland Lannister spent enormous political capital, made deals with pirates, with foreign powers, with people the Targaryens once bled to defeat. And the Gullet is still in Velaryon hands. They destroyed Spicetown. They killed Jacaerys. And they still lost the battle. And there's one more thing the Gullet does. The dragonseeds survived. Hugh Hammer and Ulf the White flew into the bloodiest naval battle in Westerosi history on dragons they claimed weeks ago, and they came out the other side alive and victorious. They are no longer untested. They are dragon riders, proven, battle-hardened, powerful, and they are commoners, with weapons that kings spend centuries trying to accumulate. Season 3 is going to be relentless. The Gullet is the boulder being pushed off the edge. This is where the Dance of Dragons stops being a civil war and starts being a catastrophe. And it starts in a few days. Episode 1. A budget Ryan Condal himself called frankly irresponsible. If we take away anything from this story, it's that a war between siblings leaves everyone broken. There is no true victory when you're fighting your own blood. But hey, if you love deep fantasy worlds and are hyped for the Hunt for Gollum movie coming in the future, check out my last video right here. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.